Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to another episode of Love Misunderstood. I'm your host, Nicole Pacheco. Alongside here with our co-host, Nigel Kettle, is a life coach and a self-help author. Also along with us is Lenasha Prescott, our millennial extended guest, and Janae Days, our Gen Z extended guest. Today's episode, how to keep a relationship interesting. Previous episodes, we had spoken about how to find a partner. This episode, we're going to talk more about how to keep that relationship interesting. Some people may say sex is what's going to keep the relationship interesting. Others may say, oh, let's just go on a trip and get to know each other a little bit better. In my opinion, from what I've learned of our episodes here is be your true self, be who you truly are, not only being yourself, and also being honest. That's a good start. But how to keep it interesting? Ooh, this is going to get good. Lenasha, what do you think we could do to keep a relationship interesting?
So I'm going to speak from a teacher's perspective because I deal with kindergarteners and it's so challenging to keep their interest at all times. They have such a short attention span and you have to figure out so many different things in order to just keep them going and focused, right? So for me, in terms of a relationship, I would say just immediately switch things up. Try new things together. Maybe things are so mundane between you all. Maybe as I remember we talked about before, how it's nice to have a partner that you do things with. Or that you're aligned with, right? Maybe, for example, you guys enjoy hiking. Maybe you guys enjoy doing artistic things together. Maybe try something new, cooking a new recipe. Maybe something small like, a game night or just something out of the ordinary that you guys do in order to, keep that relationship and that spark there.
That makes a lot of sense. When you said short attention spans, I'm like, wait a minute. Sometimes I think I have that and I'm not even in a relationship. I think having smartphones and social media definitely helps into that short attention span thing. So you have a really good point there. Thank you for that, Lenasha. What about you, Janae? What do you think about that?
I 100% agree with Lenasha. Try to do new things. Try to go skiing. I've never been skiing. I want to go skiing with my partner now. So another thing is that you can add regular dates into the mix. So it could be mandatory a bit. I remember watching movies growing up and the parents in the movies would be like, oh, we're going on a date night. I'm like, that sounds so fun. And when they come back from the date night, they're always so happy. So in my future relationship, I want to incorporate that. And another big thing is to show appreciation because if you cook for this person all the time and don't get a thank you, it's going to make you not want to cook for that person anymore. So you got to say thank you and please and thank you for being in my life. And then a last thing I wanted to say is to sort of make them miss you a bit in a relationship. So you have to give each other space once in a while so they can miss you and actually show appreciation, show that they value you, show that you can't go on without them in your life.
I love both of your perspectives because you guys are so young. We have at least 20 years above you, if not more. You guys are so informative and you know who you guys are. Nigel, what do you think about all this information that they're coming with? And of course, your expertise.
Yeah, everything that's being said here, you're pretty spot on in terms of how to keep things alive. So I see that you guys are on a pretty good path here. There are a couple of fundamental things that I'm going to start with, and only because I think it's important to lay the foundation first. We've been in relationships all of our lives with our parents, our friends, and we all feel like we have a good grasp of how relationships work. But most often when you talk to people, it's one of the things that we have a lot of problems with because we really don't understand how it works.
Agreed.
So today we'll cover some of those things, but one of the most important things is to make sure you're prepared for a relationship. Make sure you gather all the information about relationships, how it works, how to keep it interesting, how to keep the spark alive, before you actually decide that you really want to get involved in a serious relationship.
That makes sense because of our previous episodes. We had spoken about knowing thyself. And I think with what you're saying, it definitely coincides with those previous episodes. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying know who you are first to know what you want so you can keep that relationship interesting. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Close enough.
Close enough, okay.
But I mean, everything that you just said is pretty much the right path.
Yeah, so it's like steps to get to there. Okay.
Just don't assume that you know how a good relationship works. And we all do. We all assume this. We're any of you ever been like, say, okay, I'm gonna get involved in a relationship. Let me find out more about how relationships work. Have you ever done that?
No. Sorry,
what about you, Lanasha? No, right?
No, sorry, no.
I have.
And this is kind of like how we.
Hold on, she said she has.
You have.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like talk to my friends, be like, oh, what can I do in this relationship? How does it go? How does it begin? I just like consult with my friends about like initiating like a relationship myself.
Right. Basically, what you're doing is you're consulting with friends who are pretty much in the same, boat as you. And but I'm talking about like really seriously, doing some research into this subject.
How do you do that, Nigel? Like, how would you research something like this?
There's several books on the topic, right?
Okay.
Now, as you probably know, I disagree with a lot of things that's written in this genre.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that our perception of what love is completely off. Because we tend to group all these various emotions under this one emotion.
Right.
But in general, there are like several books out there on the subject.
So then would that mean that you should gather such information that had with people that have had long-lasting relationships, like a long marriage or anything else?
Believe it or not, a lot of people that are in long-term marriages, they're actually not great marriages.
Correct.
They endure this because they feel that if I'm married to this person, I have to, there's, especially if you're a Christian, you feel that you have to make it work. And whether you're miserable or not, they make it work somehow. And, you've seen
no divorce, because no divorce.
Are constantly bickering at each other. There's no love, there's no joy, but they live together, So if you're saying, people that are in long-term relationships, if they're a good source, the answer is not really. Some of them are just bad. Old people give the worst advice on love. I hate to say this, but it's true. Because they're confined to this box and they can't see outside of this. They're confined to these old traditions and teachings. And, and this includes like, people my age, because this is like all the information that's passed on to them from one generation to the other.
Okay. So
I would say just get out there, do some research, find out a little bit more about how love works, how people work, how emotions work. This is all good stuff for you as an individual,
Can I give you a scenario? Can I give you a scenario? So maybe you can help me through that for your understanding. Picture a person that's been divorced for quite a few years, at least more than 5. And the person realizes, you know what? I've been doing something wrong. As opposed to me pointing the finger out, I'm doing something wrong. So I need to check myself. What do you think that person should do on checking themselves so they can find a partner and, keep the relationship interesting?
If you can do that, like most people have a hard time like self-evaluating.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing to do. And that is because most of us believe that we know what we're doing.
Okay.
And we all believe that we have a good handle on relationships and how it works. And of course, we've been doing this all of our lives. Doesn't mean you're good at it.
Yeah.
But if you can do that, the right thing to do is actually, and the way you come to grips with, am I doing this right or wrong, is you have to be able to look at things from different perspectives. We have this thing, most of us do, it's called confirmation bias.
Okay.
And what confirmation bias is, we tend to only read information that supports our point of view. And it's kind of like if you're a Christian, you only read, Christian information that, contributes to your belief. So you won't find a Christian go and read a book about atheism, or a book that's written by an atheist, because it's contrary to their belief. So that is called. But the only way you can actually get to the truth is if you look at things from various perspectives. You can't look at things from one perspective where you're confined to a box, and in that way, all you're seeing is the information from that perspective, from one perspective. That is not knowledge, and that's what most of us do. All of us, actually. All of us have this thing called confirmation bias, where we tend to gravitate towards information that agrees with our belief system. So, Lasha, in the beginning, you talked about your kids at school and how you have to keep them engaged, right? And this is one of the key things in keeping a relationship interesting. When you fall in love, you put so much effort into finding the right person. And then you find the right person, and then what now, right? And what most of us do is we say, okay, the hard work is done. We have the guy, we have the girl. And what we do, we become complacent, We stop trying. We stop dressing up to impress. We stop the effort that we used to put into making our, the dating process interesting. We just drop those things and we just fall into this routine now where it's all about life and survival. And that's the biggest problem that most relationships have, is that the people involved become complacent.
What you're saying here, the first thing in my head is guilty. I've done this before. And what about you guys?
Most of us are guilty.
Yeah.
Most of us are.
As Nigel was saying before, like, it is important, like, once you have the person that you found, it's that's just not the end all be all, right? Like, you have to continue finding different ways to love each other, finding different ways to keep each other afloat. And it's not going to be easy. It requires a lot of work and effort, to be honest. It's not just going to be like, oh, okay, well, let's do this. And your partner's like, well, I don't feel like doing that. You gotta come to a consensus together. Right. So based on my experience, that's all I have to say.
And what you said there, Lanasha, usually in a relationship, like, one person is always like so excited. They want to go walking. They want to go, camping. They want to go. And one partner is always like, and there's always something always pops up. Something always takes precedent. And
very true.
Things get pushed aside. And we're like, oh, we'll do it next week. Next week, of course, never comes. And this is one of the things that you can't expect your partner to be interested in you and to keep things alive if all of a sudden you become this, like, stay-at-home person that have no interest in doing anything that, your partner finds exciting.
The idea of, okay, I finally found them, so I want to coop them up and stay inside. No.
The next point I'm going to raise is actually communication, which both of you touched on a little bit. But before I go into that part, I want to say, when you're dating, these are all the things that you should, like, talk to your partner about. If you decide that, okay, I really like this person, and things are probably gonna progress, before you get to that stage where you conform to a very serious relationship, there are some things that you have to work out.
Okay.
And one is, make sure they know that this is who you are. These are the things I enjoy doing. These are the things that you're doing with me right now. When we are married, or when we get in a serious relationship, we have to maintain these things. And don't just let it slide. Like, make sure these are things that you agree on. And once you get into the relationship and they are not living up to their end of the bargain, make it known right away. Say, listen, when we started this relationship, these are the things I told you that are important to me, and you agreed. Now you're backing out. What's going on?
Janae, what do you think about this? We heard Lanasha's side. What is your point of view on this subject?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I haven't been in a relationship at all. I've been through multiple
How is that,
talking
Janae?
stages.
How is that possible? You're 20 years old.
I think I've only ever liked one person in my life. I'm gonna start
Really?
off with that. I only ever liked one person in my life and actually saw a
they're
future with
cute.
one person. Yeah.
You guys
But
are
that
so
was like
cute.
that's crazy because when I tell people, they're like shocked. But the thing is, like, I actually really like this person, but we're too busy because we're both students at college. And plus I'm going abroad in London, so I don't think it's gonna work out. But what I did notice is that I should put effort in every relationship. So once you guys started talking about going on like activities together, I'm thinking, oh, I've become too complacent in my friendships. So I should actually step out and try to like engage with my friends more. And that's what I got from this conversation.
She makes a lot of sense. I'm over here thinking about we're talking about romantic relationships. But in the things that you're saying, you can take that into a friendship
Absolutely.
relationship, mother-daughter, siblings. Yep. You're not just speaking about romantic, right?
No. It involves like all, the different facets of relationships. The same things that apply here in terms of, it's even your sibling, even your sister. If you don't keep in touch with her, if you don't keep, constant communication,
right,
things start falling apart. The next thing you know, you're like total, strangers. You're family, but you're strangers. So these are things that all you have to like, and later on we're gonna deal with the upkeeping part. I'm gonna touch on communication a little bit, right? And communication is one of those things where if you talk to anybody about relationships, the first thing they say, oh, you need good communication. Well, everybody knows this. Nobody does it. The first step in communication is actually listening. It's listening to the person that's talking to you. And not just listening, but listening with empathy. Where you're truly like trying to understand, because what you're trying to do here is you're trying to understand this person from a deeper perspective where you can relate to what they're saying. And you can only relate to what somebody's saying if you put yourself in their shoe. Then you can totally understand it from their perspective. It may be a different perspective from you, a different point of view, but if you really want to engage in true communication, you have to understand where they're coming from. Once you've done that, then you can talk, right?
Right.
And hopefully the person will, give you the same respect that you just gave them. I have a friend actually that every time you see him, the first thing he does is starts blabbing about everything that's going on. And all he's trying to do is trying to impress you, right? And every girl he tries to pick up, the first thing he does is try to impress that girl with all the things that he's doing. So it's all about making an impression,
yes,
right? And then he wonders why nobody, why he can't find a woman, but it's because people don't like that. That's not communicating. That's just like,
being
boasting,
braggadocious, yeah.
And so it's kind of like really important for people to understand what that really means.
Sounds like you need something more with that, some respect for the person, to listen to them, to try to understand it, to want to do what is needed to keep the relationship interesting.
Yeah, and it's a human thing that we all, like, no matter who you are, right? We have this tendency to feel that we know so much about so many things and other people don't. And this is kind of like a weird kind of bias. And it's like, and they've studied this over and over again. We tend to elevate ourselves a little bit above the rest of the people. Mm-hmm. And in every research that they've done, this is our natural tendency. You have to be aware of that. When you're having a conversation with people, like, my main goal is to listen to that person and understand where they're coming from. And you'd be surprised. Once you start doing that, people tell you stuff like, my wife used to ask me, how do you get people to tell you those things? And it's because people feel that you're connecting with them, that you're genuinely interested in what they have to say.
Mm-hmm. I like all of this stuff. Ladies, what do you guys think about all of this? I don't know if this is a generational thing, and that's why, we like to hear from you guys to let us know. We have a different aspect of the way that we see things, only because this is what our generation has taught us. But your generations are totally different. You guys are more out there, more open, more understanding. What do you think?
I honestly think, like, Nigel, your friend was exhibiting a bit of ego. And in my most talking stage, he did that as well. Like during our whole conversation, it was like an hour conversation. He mentioned how attractive he was 3 times. I was counting.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And
that is disgusting. I will be so turned off.
I was. That's why I took a step back. I thought I could entertain the idea. But then again, he mentioned how many girls find him attractive, sort of making him seem like the prize in this like talking stage. But it was the first time I met this man. So imagine if I kept like meeting him like later down the road. Imagine how that would turn out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, thank you. Narsha, what do you think about that stuff? Because you over here pointing your finger to your throat like ew, ew.
Yeah, don't come up to me first, time that we're meeting and have all this ego and tell me all about yourself, because I don't care about those things. I want to learn that about you eventually. Like what I want to know, first time meeting is like, what are your goals? What do you like to do? Just like the simple basic things. I don't need to know that you've gotten so many girls before me. Like that's unattractive. That might be cool for you, and that might be something that you like favor or find or think that other people are attracted to, but it's not even about that. Tell me about your inner self and not the outer self, right? Like
so what do you do when that happens? Do you like bring it to their attention?
Good question.
Oh no. Yeah. Well, for me, what I would do, like, okay, cool. All right, I hear you. If they ask me for their number, I'll be like, no, sorry, can't do that. Or if like, we do exchange numbers some way, somehow. Eventually, I mean, sometimes it depends, right? Sometimes I'll give them a chance and see if they can like express themselves in other ways without showing off. I'm gonna try to really like get to know them. But if I see that it's a consistent like ego thing or all about them and not asking me questions, then yeah, I will just eventually like just stop talking to them.
Yeah.
What about you, Jenny?
That's pretty much the same thing. I gave him my number actually. That was a worse idea because like during that conversation, he sort of acted like a fake mentor to me, like telling me things I needed to do in my life. I met him just the day before, and he started to act like that and take in charge like my whole life and basically trying to give me advice. And I sort of like distanced myself, and then later on he's texting me, and I feel like this is the first time he's actually experienced a woman not like entertaining his like BS. I'm gonna be honest. And then
so he's really gonna be on you.
Yes. So right now I think he's like questioning what he did wrong. I'm not sure if I should bring it up or I should just let it like flow. So
I absolutely think you should bring it up. I think you should say, listen, and you can do it in a text if you don't want it to be confrontational. Just say, listen, I just want you to know this is my experience with you, and I found it to be very unattractive. And this is something that you probably should, Listen, if you want to continue this with him, then fine. If this is it and you're moving on, and what do you care? But maybe the next person that comes after you, you'll be doing them some service.
So you're saying that she needs to make a decision before she even has that conversation. Do I want to deal with this person or do I not? And if I do, have the conversation. If not, ghost them?
Yeah, and if you really like the person, right? Like, this is where communication comes in. If you really like the person, then you should bring it to your attention and not in a negative way, but say, listen, I want you to be aware of this and that this is actually a negative quality that maybe you should work on. Because a lot of times, like, he's probably not aware of this. This is probably his old style. and you probably think it's very effective, you know. So you're doing him a service. Look at it that way.
Okay.
I think during our conversation, I did mention he has a bit of an ego. I did say that, but I laughed it off. And then
Right, but you need to do it directly.
Yeah, don't laugh at all.
Yeah, and then he was like, "Don't you want a confidence in your man?"
Right.
He sounds like a scared little boy.
And you know what? Listen, a lot of times when people are like this, it stems from serious insecurities. And this is why they always feel that they have to be constantly making an impression, right? Maybe you can help them, you know? At least maybe give it a shot. If you really like this person, give it a shot. If it's such a negative that you can't deal with it, then just leave it alone. Don't even waste more time.
I would also look at what kind of life he's living. I was just going to say, I would also look about what kind of life he's living too, because sometimes people show you who they are and you're the one that got to see it for what it is. You know what I mean? And if he's already a certain type of way from day one, from first, that already tells me that person's not going to change. That person's going to play it off for a little while to get you into the hook. And once you're hooked, it's going to go right back into the same nonsense. So I'm wondering about that. So, you know, do what you want. If it was me, like Nanasha said,
So I'm going to state a couple more things here. Forgiveness is very important in a relationship. And the main thing here is be aware that you are just as flawed as this other person. And that is important because we all think that we're so perfect.
Yes.
And everybody else have problems. Janae, that guy that's like...
He thinks he's too perfect.
Right? The thing is that I'm sure there are flaws in you that he saw also. We all think that everybody, our partner, have issues, and we can name them out. 1, 2, 3. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was naming out like 20 things that was wrong with his woman.
Oh.
And I said to him, so, okay, what are your flaws? And he says, I have none.
Yeah, sure.
And listen, he was genuine. And this is because we don't look at ourselves. We can point out all the flaws in everybody else, but we never take the time to look in the mirror.
Guilty.
And that is a very important thing. And you can't really be understanding and be forgiven until you can do that.
Agreed.
That is like one of the most fundamental steps. And it comes back to like, you know, a part of self-love, you know, that we discussed last week is being able to fully evaluate yourself as an individual, you know, and I recommend that we take a little bit more time to do that.
Self-evaluation. So if we're understanding this correctly, besides finding the partner, but keeping it interesting, we need to know who we are. We need to be honest, respectful to the person and ourselves. And key to all of this is communication with us, with ourselves, and us with the person that we're in a relationship. And again, these are all relationships that you're speaking about, not only romantic.
Yeah, and address issues promptly. Don't wait. In my previous marriage, and my ex-wife is going to kill me for this, right? One of the issues that we had was that she would hold on to things, right? And these are things that were bothering her. These are things about me, right? Things that I would do that I wasn't aware of how it was affecting her. In her eyes, she was trying to keep things peaceful.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't like address these issues as they pop up, right?
Yeah.
And what happened is that I just didn't know. I remember one day she started saying all these things that I do that hurt her feelings, and I was completely unaware.
Yes.
I was blown away by this, and she was dead on. It's not like she was saying things that were inaccurate. It's just that while doing it, I was not aware that I was hurting her in that way.
I'm a woman. I'm an ex-wife. I've been girlfriend. I've done exactly what your ex-wife has done. We don't want to rock the boat because sometimes we're good right now, so we don't want to stir the pot. Sometimes we don't want to come out too strong, but not realizing because we're waiting for so long for it to finally say something that we come out stronger than we ever really wanted to. Sometimes you got to be careful with the kind of relationship that you're in. If you're in a relationship, and you wasn't this way, but in a relationship that's tumultuous, that she's afraid for her life too, sometimes she won't say anything because that'll save her from getting her behind whooped later on. You know what I mean? There's so many different things. Also, one thing that I would like to explain or even mention, sometimes people get so complacent in their relationship that I've been in this relationship for 10 years and I don't want to start all over again. So you want to deal with this for 10 more years?
Yeah, well, people do it all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, but like literally, like, don't hold things in. Like, Janae, like, this is the part of, like, what you're doing right now. You notice an obvious flaw in this guy, but instead of like confronting him and saying it to him, what you're doing is keeping it to yourself, right? And maybe you're doing it because you don't really like him much.
She said I don't.
But if you do like him, just bring it to his attention right away. And yes, like, people will get defensive. They'll be like, and they probably pass it on as you're being too sensitive or something like that. But what's going to happen is that they're going to go home, and while you're laying in bed, they're going to think about it, and they're going to be like, yeah.
I agree. Reflecting, I don't reflect right then and there. I reflect later on.
I'm just going to run across a few more things.
Yeah,
quickly,
go ahead. Go for it.
And I know you touched on this, Janae, where you talk about doing things together in your relationships. That is like a really crucial part of relationships. You have to do things with your partner.
Oh, yeah.
And most people just like, they push it to the side. I can't tell you how many relationships or friends or people that I know that is one of the major problems in their relationship, that they don't do things together. Someone is always too tired. Someone is always, having a headache. And most of these things are, superficial,
Right.
So, yeah, do things together.
I agree with that, right? Like, you definitely should be doing things together with your partner. But at the same time, I do believe that each person needs like their individual space and individual
Absolutely.
like time to do things for themselves or by themselves, right? So I think there just needs to be like a balance for sure.
Right.
Because you don't want to have to be that person that is just always under your partner. Finding your partner is like your best friend, which, they should be in a way, of course, but also having your own life as well. So that they don't feel smothered by you. And then that'll eventually lead to other problems.
True. Very true.
If you can find that sweet spot where you spend enough alone time, or, with other people, with your friends, and enough time with your partner, then just put some effort into like finding that sweet spot.
I think what's going to help with that is with the communication that you had mentioned, because sometimes some partners don't want to be separated because they don't trust each other, which will bring us into a whole other conversation. But
and discuss these things too before you get really serious. So
the dating stage is the foundation platform, is what you're saying. So we can be able to see who people they are, and then if you want to progress.
Yeah, we tend to skirt over that part, and we get seriously involved without setting that foundation, and this is when we get in trouble later, because all these things weren't discussed, and these are the fundamental parts of relationships that's important for you to know before you get seriously involved with someone.
I wonder if people, a couple in the sense of dating, once sex turns into play, maybe that helps it to turn serious before the relationship becomes official. Do you think that may have something to do with it? If it happens, do you think that may have something to do with it? Because nowadays everybody is a free-for-all.
Let me see if I get what you're saying. You're saying you're asking if it's important to have sex before.
No, I'm saying that I think that if people are having sex prior to making it an official relationship, that it makes them feel like, well, we're in a relationship already. We're already having sex. Right. You know what I mean?
That's kind of like a touchy subject in terms of some people put this great emphasis in sex and that it means so much. And
That's exactly
some people don't.
Okay.
Like, I am one of those people that don't put that much emphasis on sex. In other words, sex is just a physical exchange between two people. It's better and more intense when it's between two people that are in love with each other.
Okay.
But I don't think it's contingent upon that. So, you could engage in sex for entertainment.
Right.
And it depends on the person. It depends on your value and your principles. But I don't judge anybody. If you want to engage in sex just for entertainment purposes, then go right ahead. It's
What I'm saying is that some people don't see it as entertainment purposes. Some people see it as, well, we're already doing this, so I guess we're serious enough to be doing some things like this.
Yeah, and that's based on personality. Like I never see that sex as being mean that I'm more, I'm at a deeper stage in a relationship.
There you go.
Then to me, it's just sex.
It's just sex.
Yeah. It becomes more meaningful when I decided to go further in this relationship, but that's me.
Right.
Most people, it means a lot. As a matter of fact, I find that women tend to have a different opinion on this, where they think that once they engage in sex, it's something more serious.
As a woman from our, the generation of X, yeah, I could see that. I've taken, remember we had it in the previous episode that sex and love are two separate, different things. They don't coincide with each other. Yes, they can have a big part within one another, but they are not the same.
And you should, and again, you should discuss these things with your partner.
Right.
If you feel strongly about that, your partner should know before you do it.
Agreed.
Because if it's going to mean this to you and means this to him, and I'm sure most of us here can relate where that's been the case, where you have sex with somebody and they think that okay, you're their boyfriend now.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yep.
And because for you it was just an exchange, but for them it's something else.
Something more. Yep.
So it's important for you to discuss this.
That'll be hard to go through that discussion because sometimes people just want to hit it and quit it and not honest.
No, you see, people. It all depends on how you approach this. Like, there is always a very easy way to approach all conversations. Just explore it in light discussion, where you're like, you're just feeling out the person, and don't get all uptight, because this is what we do. If the person disagrees with our statement, then we're like, oh, so that's the way you are. Don't be like that. Don't be judgmental, because once you do that, then this person now is going to shut up and pull back on what they have to say. Try to understand this person's perspective. Right?
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of things, the way that we behave is based on so many things, so many factors, including the way we were raised, the environment that we were brought up in, the community we were brought up in.
Yeah.
So just try to be understanding. And if you don't agree, then make it clear that you don't agree, and state, what your values are based on too. I'm going to bring this to a close right now by stating this. We touched on this last week, I think, or the week before, where just remember that nature is always trying to pull things apart. The second law of thermodynamics states that, through entropy, that everything moves from a state of order to a state of disorder. And this includes everything in nature. This includes our love life. This includes our jobs. This includes all facets of human existence. Just be aware that in order for you to maintain your relationship, you have to constantly put effort into upkeeping it, right? And that is because the natural tendency of all things is to go bad.
Wow.
So be prepared for that, and know that the moment you enter into this relationship, you're gonna have to start putting effort into maintaining it. And this is one of the things that most people are not prepared for. So when things start going bad, they put their hands up and they blame, and they say, oh, I should have known better than going with you, and they blame. But know that you're not doing a good enough job to upkeep this relationship.
Yeah.
So go back to basics, put some effort into it, and sit down and talk and say, okay, this is what is going on here. This is how it affects me. Let's discuss this and let's do better.
I totally agree with what you're saying. Ladies, on a close here, tell me what you have learned today from the old wise one that we have here. Let me know.
Never be complacent in a relationship. Always put in time, put in hard work. try to like make it interesting in all types of relationships. But right now we're focusing on romantic. And to remember that you yourself have flaws and you should examine yourself before you try to sort of like project it on someone else.
Oh, yeah. Very good. What about you, Lenarsha?
I would say making sure that you have a good understanding of your partner and the person that you're dating before you get into a very serious relationship. I really like how Nigel said earlier that that's important because once you get further along, when you had a conversation before with a person, let's say, for example, like I I'm open to like doing more outdoor activities like camping or hiking, etc. And that my partner was like, yeah, like I'm down to do that too, da, 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 this and the fourth. And then later on in the relationship, it's like they no longer want to do those things because they become more, as you said before, like complacent or don't want to like be engaged in these activities. Well, now I can hold you accountable because before we had this conversation, right? So you're gonna have to figure out a way to make sure that you hold up to your promise.
Right.
And take them to task on it. Don't let them like skirt over it and be like, no, just like, no, this is the person I got involved with. This is what you promised and this is what I want.
Yeah, absolutely. So just like that and just like communicating with each other. And also the things that Janaea has said as well. Those are, I think, really important as well. And keeping the affection there in any way possible.
Yeah.
So
don't take life so seriously, man. We all get so uptight about life, like
I'm so guilty.
We don't joke about things, it's so important that we like laugh at things, do things together. Like I like to sit down and watch comedy with my wife because it's something that we can laugh at and we pause it and we poke fun at each other. And, just do things like that and don't take life so seriously.
Oh, I gotta learn.
People get into this regime where it's all about, you got to make a living, and everything just gets pushed away.
Yes. Yes.
Just relax, breathe, This is, there's something that you just said, Lenasha, that reminds me, social media has made, all this so difficult. Like, one of the problems I used to have in my previous marriage was my wife was constantly on the phone, and we would be in bed and she's on Facebook, and I would say, can you just put the phone away? And she'd be like, what does it matter? We're watching TV. What does it matter if I'm on my phone and you're watching TV? And maybe she has a point. The fact that when you're on your phone and I'm watching a movie with you, right? It doesn't feel like we're sharing this moment. Because it feels like you're detached and you're doing something else.
Definitely. Yeah.
And this is like, as simple as that is, it's a moment that you're sharing this experience with you and your partner. So it's like simple things like those, like just take a break away from the phone. And I know like countless friends that complain about the same thing where either the man's on the phone or the woman is on the phone. And,
or both, and the TV is watching them.
Yeah. When you're doing things together, do it together.
I like everything that was discussed here today. I'm learning so much. Me as a single person, I'm gonna learn how to obtain a partner and keep it interesting. What I've learned is be yourself, be honest, know how to communicate, and overall, have respect for the person that you are in the relationship with and with yourself. That will shine through. Thank you for joining us today for another wonderful episode of Love Misunderstood.
And for those of you watching who were actually listening out for this one point, sex. We didn't touch on this, but we'll touch on this in another episode because this is also a very crucial part. So we'll address this in an upcoming episode.
They're so cute. Look, she covered her face.
Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We're also on Facebook and Instagram as well, friends.
For more episodes, in-depth articles, exclusive insights on love and relationships, or to provide feedback and suggestions, please visit lovemisunderstood.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletters. Love Misunderstood podcast series was created by Nigel Kettle. This episode was hosted and produced by Nigel Kettle and Nicole Pacheco, with extended guests Lenarsha Prescott and Janae Days. Production assistant Celeste Rosario. Special thanks to everyone who submitted questions and comments. We value your input and feedback. Keep them coming. Love Misunderstood is a Kettle Media Concepts production.